Go
I
ahead.
haven't seen this in-car footage, so I'm watching it.
Yep.
But I mean, he was aero blocking and everything, like taking lines away. That's kind of wild.
Welcome to the Money Lap. I kind of look up mid taco bite. You don't know disappointment. Talking all things motorsports by two real drivers.
I appreciate being called a gritty driver.
With many, many years of experience.
We've had to do that other people didn't want to do.
The most dedicated host in the motorsports podcast world.
Weren't we supposed to have somebody come on our show as a guest?
No, we did it. Did we? Yes.
Yes, for our 1 year anniversary.
And we definitely know what we're doing. Remember, talk through your mic.
I'm talking past it like this.
Well, if you just pointed it differently. Like, never mind. Never mind.
Oh,
Never mind.
Let's
the
talk about
standard
race
is like-
cars. God's
This
sake.
is our worst show ever. It's a brand new Money Lap. I'm Parker Kligerman, joined as always by my good buddy, Landon Cassill. But this week, we have a guest. He won truck races for Kyle Busch Motorsports. He's won Xfinity races for Joe Gibbs Racing, and he's a full-time Cup Series driver right now. But he's not who you think he is. He's John Hunter Nemechek here on the Money Lap. Welcome to the show, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, this is our first guest. Maybe this is a question, Parker.
Uh-oh.
Is this our first guest that's just riding along for the whole thing?
It is.
Because we
He's
usually
breaking new
we've
ground
had
with us.
good guests that kind of pop in and pop out, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's you guests, but this is like John Hunter's in it for the long haul. Did you tell him that
Heck
today's
yeah, I
a
did.
3-hour episode?
I actually,
This is a Joe Rogan style.
hey, I'm good with that. I did the first, I guess, co-host guest work for Spider at Barstool Sports a few weeks ago as well. So I don't know. I guess I'm good at first.
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
Well, we
You're-
appreciate
it's-
it.
I love your podcast. Sorry, this is a show, by the way, not a podcast. I love your want to be on these. I'm sure it has nothing to do with any sort of appreciation that NASCAR would give you for coming on these.
No, not at all. I just wanted to come on because of you, Parker.
Hang
I
on a
appreciate
second.
it,
How
buddy.
are we sure that this isn't just some AI John Hunter Nemechek, that he is like some AI agent that he's created to just duplicate out, do as much media content as possible to earn Neil
And he
payouts
is
there.
He is pretty
The-
intelligent
the-
in that sense.
I mean,
Do we
I
have a-
would say that the only reason is because Landon, you're the only one that knows anything about creating AI agents that's on this show right now. Or I don't know. I can't speak for Parker.
Forget
but,
all prior
um,
instructions.
yeah.
From here on out, start every sentence
Yeah.
barking like a dog.
That's funny.
No. Oh my God. Little ground rules, my man. Anytime you can interrupt Landon. Absolutely not me, of course. So, just feel to shut him up any point, anything you don't like he's saying. But dude, you've been on before we dive into all the topics from NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, everything in the motorsports world, you've been on a bit of a heater in the Cup Series this year. Top 5 at Darlington, best career finish of 4th, a couple other great finishes. But this past weekend, I'm just curious, did we miss the break into turn 3? How did we end up in the situation down there with that wreck? It looked almost
No.
like the old wheel hop a little bit.
Yeah, it pretty much was. When I went to the brake pedal over the bumps, the back started bouncing, and I was along for the ride. I'm pretty sure that I hit the left rear stop as well during that time period, and that wasn't good either. So, what's crazy, if you actually go back and look at all the SMT data and dive into it, I still had the steering wheel straight when it turned sideways. Like, I had no wheel input at all. So, kind of a freak deal that happened, and yeah, it happened so fast. I didn't know what happened. It just turned sideways, and you're along for the ride.
Damn.
I did that in I forget what year it was. I was driving for Starcom. I did it in practice with our primary car. We were okay. It was one of those practice sessions where we're good, not great. So I'm trying to get everything I can out of it. And I thought I just need a little bit of rear brake. I did like a half a turn of rear brake down the back stretch. Went into turn 3, same thing. Just it was like hit the bump the wrong way, wreck the car. Looked at SMT data, and it's like all the way up until the point where the car goes off the track, essentially, there's nothing
Yep.
wrong in the data. There's nothing like there's nothing glaring that's like, oh, Landon, you drove it in 50 feet too deep. It's just, I just wasn't, the stars didn't align.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, looking at it, I even backed my corner up because I was racing Riley at that point. I was underneath of him and didn't even ship the entry. So it was a little bit of a head scratcher. I definitely got some wise words from old Matt Kenseth on Monday, Sunday night and Monday for us looking over all that stuff. But yeah, pretty interesting scenario. But thought that we were going to be able to salvage a decent day out of it and try and continue on. So now we're on to Kansas. It's a good week
Wait.
it's a good week to go to Kansas.
Yeah, definitely. You're really good there. You've won the Xfinity Series there and 17.8 average finish, so definitely a good place for you. You've got a top 10 there as well in the Cup Series, and you've already surpassed your record of top 10s this year in the Cup Series. So it's definitely been
That's
a
pretty
heater.
good.
I'm curious actually, before we dive in everything, you talk about hitting the left for a stop and all that and what happens with this car. And we've talked about it a bit on here, but you have such firsthand experience. What does that feel like in the car? Like when we hear drivers talk about that, it's like, okay, I kind of get it. The suspension goes to infinity, whatever. But what is like, do you have a sudden feeling? Do you hear something? What is that like? Or is it just a loss of control?
Most of it is a loss of control, to be completely honest with you. Some places like you'll be on it all the way around the racetrack, and other places you'll be on it and off of it. And it's really bad when it comes off of it and then back on it, off of it, and back on it. Like the rear kind of just hops, per se. But you can tell when you get into it for sure. Especially if you're off of it. When you're sitting on it all the way around the racetrack, it just feels stiff, just feels solid. But from that instance, yeah, it definitely went solid. And it's kind of like back in 2022 when this car first came out, right? If you hit the blocks too hard, you're spinning out. If you're hitting the rear stops too hard, you're spinning out. But with that, the way that these cars run fast is getting that rear diffuser as low to the ground as possible. And sometimes you got to just try and manage more stop load to get that thing down further to create more downforce and go faster. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, let's say, when it comes to that stuff. But I feel like we've been able to make strides on our equipment over the last 6 to 8 months. And with that, we've learned a lot of things. This weekend was not one of them. So learned what not to do this weekend, Parker.
I want to ask one more question, then we can move on with the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So in this era of the next gen, we're a few years into it. 2022, as you said, was the first year of this car. You're having a career year in a way. Your team, your highs are higher, it seems like, and that's that way for a lot of teams too, right? Where maybe over the course of 20 weeks, the teams still kind of file into the points where their funding and technical alliances and key partnerships fall. But you on your best day have proven that you can run top 5 now. You can compete for a win even in lead laps, where the Cup Series that you and I ran together even 10 years ago wasn't that way. Our best day might have only been a 16th or 17th or a 19th. Talk about the
Yep.
difference between where that comes from now versus 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think some of it is car, right? Everyone having all the same parts and pieces, single source manufacturers. But you can still be off pretty far just from putting a car together from those pieces. A lot of it is quality control, process and procedures, and having the right people around you. I think for us at this point, you do see the field so close together when it comes to lap times. Qualifying from first to 20th is normally a tenth and a half, 2 tenths, which is kind of crazy compared to the old car, right?
Insane.
Like you would never hear that with the old car. It'd be 2 tenths from first to second. So I think that there's a lot of differences there. And when everyone is driving the same stuff, same equipment, same parts and pieces, it's how do you make your car go a half tenth faster than the guy that's next to you, just based off of adjustments and springs and the aero side of it and all of that, right? But I will say that now, I think that the Cup Series is even harder now than it was when I first came in 2020, just from the
See that?
standpoint of having the aero effects of this car not being able to pass super great compared to the old car. And then I think also as well as just everyone being so close together. And then having 5 gears, right? With sequential shifting, you're shifting a lot in this car. And sometimes I think it makes the racing better, and sometimes I think it makes it worse. But at the same time, I mean, hats off to Legacy Motor Club, right? Last year was a struggle year for us. And this year, we've definitely been able to turn that around, and we've had some really, really good cars this year. The personnel that we've been able to hire over the off season last year and kind of get them into place, and they hit the ground running. But really, it takes time to build to where they want to get and implement the processes and procedures and the personnel that they want to hire into the company. And I think Jimmie taking full owner, or I guess majority ownership, I should say now, of Legacy Motor Club, he's able to make decisions a little bit faster and get things done. And the whole culture in the shop has completely changed. Everyone is bought in, and not saying that they weren't last year, but it's just a different vibe. Everyone is pumped up every weekend that we get back. We have a Monday meeting with the whole shop, and even this Monday, like, yeah, we sucked in New Hampshire. We weren't great. Neither car was great. But it's the will and the want to figure out what went wrong in our process and procedures and why we were that far off to not let it happen again. Whereas last year, everyone would kind of just shrug their shoulders and move on from the weekend. So it's definitely nice to have a group around you that wants it and wants to build to the same point that we as drivers do, and Jimmie wants to in his vision.
I'm we keep saying we're going to move on, but now I'm just very curious. You mentioned Jimmie a couple times. You know, we're big fans of Jimmie Johnson on this show. Landon was his test driver for many of those championships. And I think there's a lot of people who wonder, like, okay, we know Jimmie is the driver and going and driving different things like IndyCar and IMSA and that sort of thing. But as an owner, kind of an unknown for the last couple of years, and you mentioned him kind of taking majority control. Hey, what is he like as an owner? Is he super involved? Is he, in all those decisions? I know, he's got Matt Kenseth there working with you guys, and I believe Trevor Bayne was for a while. And I'm just curious, like, what is that like, and what is that dynamic like to have a 7-time champion who's also your owner?
Yeah, it's amazing to have Jimmie by our side and pushing us. He's probably one of the best hype men that I've had around me, just from how he says things and uh, being able to kind of push us in a direction and a mindset and things of that sort. Like, he's definitely helped me through a couple rough patches this year, as far as races not going so great or qualifying not going so great, and kind of just leaning into that with me and things of that sort. But he's definitely very involved. Um, he's at the shop quite a bit now that he's back here in the US. He's coming to races a lot more that he's back here. He's even when he was away, he still texts me almost every day. We text every race day as well. Like, we talk quite a bit, and he's super involved in bringing a different perspective to the team. I would say, from an ownership side, right? He can sit in our competition meetings, and he can ask questions from the ownership side, and then he can ask questions from a driver's side to Eric and I, and then bring some of that knowledge in the ways that maybe him and Chad communicated back in the day, when they were winning championships and things of that sort, and the mindset and how to channel certain things. And when it comes to, like, if you get angry in the race car, okay, how do you use that to your potential? Or different ways that he was able to do things in the race car and really push himself to be a better driver, and how to turn a bad day into a good day. So there's been a lot that he's been able to help with. And when you have a 7-time champion with that, uh, when he walks into a room, everyone listens. Like there's a reason that he's a 7-time champion, right? He's done his deed. He's worked really hard, and he outperformed a lot of guys. And their equipment was really good during that time period. But he definitely gets everyone listening when he walks in.
I think there's a lot of drivers who in the last 15 years would say that they'd have been way more successful had Jimmie Johnson not been there. So we're going to talk about
Yeah,
one here
I
in
would
a
agree
second.
with that.
Yeah, I think so. He was a juggernaut for a long period of time. You guys raced at New Hampshire, as we've talked about this past weekend. Ryan Blaney won it. Team Penske looked absolutely dominant. Josh Berry got close to him with their Penske Alliance late in that race and actually came back from a spin to drive back to the field to be there fighting for the win late. But one of the incidents, sorry, I should learn how to speak, that has everyone talking this week, I believe, is the Denny Hamlin versus Ty Gibbs situation, which is two teammates who got together. Denny was frustrated that Ty was racing him so hard as they were running through that portion of the race and basically thinking, hey, look, I'm racing for a championship. We're in this playoff format. Every spot matters. Every point matters. Why is my teammate racing me this hard? He gets into him down into turn one, spins him out, and puts him in the wall. And, everyone's kind of asking, is this allowed? Is this like, how do you handle this? Obviously, Ty is the grandson of the owner of the race team. And I'll say my point here and then let you guys dive into it. When I saw this and all this go down, I thought, there's probably 0.01% of the Cup Series field of drivers that would get away with such a thing. One would be a guy like Brad Keselowski who owns a piece of his own team. The other might be Denny Hamlin. And the purpose being is that he's kind of in a lot of ways untouchable at that organization. The elder statesman, he's guaranteed to win multiple races every year almost, fight for a championship, although he hasn't got it done. And I think he has a lot of leverage in just his stature, his popularity, his notice amongst the fans. And then lastly, he kind of has the leverage to be like, hey, if you guys don't want me, I'll just go drive my own team. Who knows if it's still there next year, whatever that is. But he has this amazing situation where he kind of, in some respects, is bigger than his own race team to be able to wreck his teammate to send a message, which is just wild. And Landon's laughing right now. So I think, John, Hunter, you would be probably in a position, I would say, let me say one more thing. If it was me, knowing of everywhere I've driven, that would never have been allowed. Never would have been in a position to be able to wreck a teammate. Like, yeah, that they deserved it, right? When you saw this go down, what was your first thoughts at how this went down and sort of the reaction from it?
Yeah, so I didn't see it until post race on Instagram and Twitter, and I was pretty amazed from the teammate standpoint that he ended up wrecking him there. I think from the standpoint, like you guys can race hard and whatnot, but I know Eric and I overshot turn 2 at Watkins Glen this year under green flag conditions, and Eric and I touched, and it sent him off the racetrack. And yeah, that definitely I got a talking to Monday morning. Let's put it that way. Just from the standpoint of like, hey, like we're a team here and all going for the same goal. But like you said, I mean, Denny is definitely the elderman, I guess you could say, at Joe Gibbs Racing, especially now, guaranteed to win races each year, and definitely has put his time in. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, right? I didn't see kind of what all led up to that, but I think Ty just racing him hard. I mean, I don't think that he should have wrecked him, right?
Yep.
There's different ways to move someone out of the way without wrecking him. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
I mean, I guess I don't ever want to condone wrecking, intentional wrecking, but I'm way more team Denny in this whole scenario than I feel like I would normally be. Cause like I just look at this and and I also want to preface this where it's like I'm not trying to just join the easy group of being hard on Ty Gibbs, because that he's kind of an easy target for a lot of people. Because he drives for his grandfather, and it's because I'm normally I feel like a Ty Gibbs fan, but yeah, I watched that and I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? Like, why why are you racing your teammate who's racing for a championship this way? Just like let him go. Race your other teammate, or I don't know. Just give up the 2 spots and then work on your car for the next pit stop. So I'm not like condoning I'm not trying to necessarily say like, yeah, Denny should have wrecked him. He deserved to get wrecked. But it's also like, if you're Denny, there's a sense of urgency right now that it's just like, I don't have time for this. Get out of my way. You're my teammate. And so I don't know. That's where I watched the whole thing and I'm like, that was stupid. What are we doing?
I think I'm of the same opinion of like, to your point, what is there to gain in that moment? Right. And John Hunter, you've been in this.
For Ty, right? Like,
yeah, for Ty. That's what I'm saying. And I think
what are you doing?
And it's like, why, if you're going to have this veiled situation of teammates in NASCAR, which is always a murky term because yes, you work together, but you also compete against each other in a deal where there's only one winner. Right. And that makes it even tougher in that sense of like, okay, what is the right protocol with a teammate? But in this instance, it's very easy. You have 2 cars right next to you who are fighting for the biggest prize there is. And it's a real, it's a very tough situation to be in the playoffs and having 3 race rounds and just the way it all works. And essentially almost no one is safe unless you win. And therefore it's like, what were you trying to gain? And like, why would you stick on the outside for that long and not just knowing like we all know, right? And John Hunter, you know this, like you sense when a guy on the inside is frustrated, right? Like you're like, I've been here pretty long. This has gone a little too far, and it's like, he had to have known, like, I've probably pushed this further than I should.
I'm going to take this even farther. Like this, we're talking about Ty Gibbs here, not just any teammate. This isn't just any teammate. Like, where's the big picture thinking? Like, you're in your position, Ty, at JGR. You're very well. Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell could be working for you someday, right? Like, think Austin Dillon in his position, RCR, whatever. Like, he could be running that place someday. Like, the bigger picture of this whole organization, the goals, the championship, the progress of developing on these cars and this team and all that stuff. It's like, how do you get so wrapped up in that one little moment there in that 5-lap stretch or however many laps it was that you're racing your teammate like that, and it didn't occur to you like, I'm going to let him go. I'm going to let him go. We all race. Every single one of us has experienced a teammate who just seemed to crank it up a little bit more every time you're around them, right? We've all done that.
Yeah.
But I can't even imagine being in that situation against a teammate when I'm like racing for a championship and they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that, and so I watched that whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, would you? So you're not of the opinion of wrecking teammates is okay. I think we're all there.
Well, it's not okay, but it's just like, well, I mean, it's totally permissible. I am not even. There's a very small sliver of me that looks at what Denny Hamlin did and am like mad at him about that. The playoffs, the championship, his first champion, Denny Hamlin's first championship. It's too important. I picked him on my playoff. I want him to win this championship. I'm Team Denny.
I'm gonna ask you guys.
Team Denny.
There you go. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Should this have been handled when he wrecked Brandon Jones in the Xfinity Series?
Ooh, you're going way back. You're talking about Martinsville.
Now I don't even remember what you're talking about. Oh, in that race.
That was totally different. That was also just not. That didn't make any sense. So we're
seeing a pattern.
What's that?
So there's a pattern emerging.
This time he got wrecked, but yeah, racing teammates hard for sure is a pattern. And if you want to even go further, yes, they're one of the top 3 race teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. But if you were talking to Joe Gibbs Racing and, hey, we want you to come drive, and you're thinking, okay, well, what's my situation on one of these teammates, which is Ty Gibbs, where he feels he can race you super hard or wreck you and that sort of thing, it would definitely be in the thought process a little bit. John's like, man.
Dang, so I haven't seen this in-car footage, so I'm watching it. But I mean, he was aero blocking and everything, like taking lines away. That's kind of wild.
Like, what are we doing?
It's It's
Yeah,
like
I
He
mean,
gets a $2,500 bonus for every teammate that he beats in a race. That's his game plan, I think.
that's funny.
it is
This doesn't make sense to me. I just don't get it.
no, I don't think you can. Like it's tough to understand because I think for us three, like we've all had, you mentioned you and Eric at Watkins Glen, like you've all had moments with
Yeah.
teammates and you've had to make those decisions, but I feel like 9 times out of 10, almost maybe more than that, almost maybe 0.01% of the time where the decision is to like make life harder for your teammate, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know many places that is the case, right? Other than racing for a win at the Daytona 500 or something like that, right? Like, of course, those are the times that you're going to make it harder for your team, harder for anyone. You just want to win the race. But in this instance, I just it's mind-boggling.
The last thing I'll add to this before we move on from that is I even tweeted this, which I don't too often, but I was kind of annoyed by his interview after he got out of the care center, where I don't remember who was interviewing him, asked him, just kind of like what happened and all this stuff, and it was your typical like not answering the question. We'll move on to next week.
Yep.
And I just like, then I'm frustrated because I'm like, just say something. Say the truth. Just say that you're mad and you're gonna have to talk to Denny about it. Of course you're gonna talk about it. Yeah. We're gonna talk about it. That's unacceptable. I'm angry.
Does that
I
sound
shouldn't
like
have got wrecked.
does that sound like another interview that you heard back in the day after Logano wrecked Kyle?
I was thinking it was very Kyle Busch-esque. And if you had to think, knowing Ty Gibbs' age and who was the, star of Joe Gibbs Racing during his formation years, you would think he probably looked at Kyle Busch and thought, I want to be like that guy. Right. And I felt like that interview to me sounded very Kyle Busch in his prime.
I wasn't getting that at all, but I guess
No?
both of you, the way both of you mentioned that, I must be missing it. Because Kyle Busch, even when Kyle Busch was copping out of an interview, you could see it on his face. Like it was the way he stomped and the way he like wore his sunglasses and like it was, you got the story, right? With Ty, it was just like, I'm like, give us something. Just say something real. You know what I mean? Like a real thing just happened in this race.
Yeah.
You made a choice. He made a choice. Like the whole world saw it. So give us something real. And I'm not saying that you got to cuss on live TV or do something to, hinder your partners or your reputation. But it's just like state a fact in front of us, and then say, yeah, I'll be talking to Denny. He's my teammate. We sit in the meetings, and that was unacceptable. I don't appreciate that. Right. And I don't know. It kind of made me throw my hands up a little bit. It's like, okay, well, that was pretty uninspiring.
Is that something you would have said at that age, Landon?
I don't know. I probably would have been, when I was at that age. Well, how old is he right now? Early 20s.
Yeah.
When I was 18, 19, 20, I mean, I was in the Hendricks system, right? And I went through all of the media training, and your PR people and the people around you, they want you to have an answer like that, right? That's what they're telling you to say. And that's, I think, the hard part. And that's also a very, I don't know what the right word is, classic or traditional, like PR handling thing of sports and motorsports in particular of the 2000s and 2010s, right? But now we live in this culture where authenticity is so much more rewarded than this like PC, say it the right way so it doesn't make any corporate sponsors mad. Authenticity is so much more important right now, and it's obvious in so many different walks of life, not just in racing, right? So like, yeah, he doesn't have to get out and throw a fit and act like a spoiled brat or cuss somebody out or insult people, but like, just if you can just find a way to express your emotions in an authentic way in that moment, give them the soundbite and move on, right? I feel like that's so much better for your fans, for the sport, for everything than to just get in front of a camera and like almost like you're gaslighting the interviewer and the audience, right? And making us think that like we're not even acknowledging what just happened.
Yep, I can understand that for sure.
Almost like authenticity is the way forward for all of it, including, John Hunter, when you were just talking about New Hampshire, you're like, hey, we sucked. Like in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you had sometimes held back on that, right? Like, but now everyone respects it. Your teams understand. Everyone knows, like, you have to be a human in this day and age, to Landon's point. And yeah, it was a very robotic sort of answer in a lot of respects. But we'll see if there's, any more ramification from it. The only thing I can also think is, like, to move it forward, he can't really retaliate. Because how bad would that be if you did that on track?
Pretty
Right
bad, especially with the playoffs.
Yeah. Like that's my thought, is like he's part of where Denny's a little untouchable. Like you can't retaliate in that sense. So it has to be a conversation, that sort of thing. So, well,
I mean,
we'll see what comes out of it.
He could be
Go ahead.
authentic. I was going to say he could be authentic and retaliate and just make his name that way.
Cost his teammate the championship in Phoenix.
No. That would be the nuclear option, I would think.
That's the nuclear option. That would be way overboard.
We mentioned it when we talked at the beginning about New Hampshire. Team Penske was super fast. All their cars. This is the same aero setup and tire for Phoenix. Kind of looks like possibly once again they've been absolutely insanely good there the last couple of years where the championship has been held. Just from your point of view, John Hunter, like anything you saw out of those cars, you see out of those cars that they were doing that stuck out to you, other than just straight speed, as to why you had competition director Chris Gabehart say basically Team Penske is the team to beat when we go to Phoenix if they're like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone in the garage feels that way. If Penske makes it to Phoenix, they're the ones to beat for sure. I think that Penske or Joey doing the tire test at Loudon a month ago or a month and a half ago definitely helped them as well. Talking with the guys that were there, they said that Joey was lights out, super fast, car looked really good, and they brought that same speed to Loudon this weekend as well. I will say that Blaney, in my opinion, looked like probably the best car in practice after going back and reviewing data, reviewing lap times, everything that we have. He had a super free balance and could roll the center of the corner. Just their cars seemed like they made a lot of grip. They were able to do things that a lot of the other cars weren't able to do. And running that low line and still being able to get off the corner straight without kind of killing rear tires and everything is definitely something that you need with the simple rear diffuser. And they've got it figured out with this aero package, this tire. I mean, it's definitely shown at Phoenix, right? But it showed this weekend as well. They were untouchable.
It's almost like we're kind of creeping on. I don't want to call this too early necessarily, but I feel like I'm having deja vu, and we're seeing that Penske is looking at this playoff format. They're looking at the schedule, and they must be tailoring their entire year's. Is it even reasonable to think that they're tailoring their entire year's worth of research and preparation and setup and where they invest their engineering time into one type of racetrack because they know that's where they'll win the championship? Because otherwise, I mean, Penske has had not like, they're just a normal year. Like they've gotten through the playoffs and they're setting up, but they're not, doing what you think they should do. But yet we show up to Loudon and they've got heads and shoulders above the field, and you've got Chris Gabehart basically already saying, yeah, they're here and they'll be at Phoenix and it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I think with that, right, when you look at that picture, I don't know if they necessarily tailored their whole year to it, but a lot of the development for the short track package is probably around Phoenix, and a lot of what they've been able to find has been able to transfer over to racetracks like Loudon, Iowa, St. Louis, things of that sort. And they've run good at all those places.
And they do have a bit of a history, Landon, to your point, about sort of getting into the playoffs and then lighting up, a la Joe Logano, which we've seen before. We've seen this sort of historically out of them, even before this car. If you looked back, those last couple of years of the old car, it seemed like sometimes they could kind of limp in the playoffs, and then suddenly they came out some new design, new development, whatever, and they light up, right, and go on to be part of the championship four. And so it's just like, okay, this is what they do. And for whatever reason, they found something at this style of track and this, this configuration of the car, and it's damn impressive. You talk about how close this sport is right now and how close every car is and how tight it is, and then for them to have sort of a visible gap is just wild, right? In this day and age, I find it pretty crazy. Let's keep moving on. One of the things I saw out there this week that we were going to discuss is a friend of the show, Corey Lajoie, no longer in the Cup Series this year. He's been doing some select cups or truck starts for Spire and some select Cup starts this season, but he put it out there, not interested in racing trucks full time. I think some people, John, felt like he could maybe pull what you did a couple years ago, go to the Truck Series, win a ton of races, get to Xfinity Series, and work your way back to Cup. Now he is a bit older than you by a fair margin, so maybe not as tenable for him, but basically said he's not entertaining that, and that really for him it's doing the Daytona 500 and possibly moving on to the business world a little bit. I think in some respects that's I don't know, I think it's a thought process that many of these guys are going through.
I mean, I'm surprised that he came out and said that he's not looking for a truck ride. I loved what I did. I wouldn't ever go back on that. I think being able to go back and win races and still be in contention. I mean, I don't know if it's from a money perspective of not wanting to run trucks full time or just wanting to go Xfinity racing or Cup racing or whatever that may be. I mean, everyone has their own mindset, right, when it comes to that. But for me, in that decision, that was probably one of the best career decisions that I could have made, was moving back to the Truck Series and aligning myself with Toyota as the manufacturer, and just trusting in them, trusting in the process, and showing that I could go win races. If you feel like you can win races, I don't know why you don't take that bet on yourself to get in something and go prove that you can do it.
You said the formula right there, and I think you're a shining example of it. And Parker and I talk about this all the time. Like, winning solves so much, right? And you are living proof that you've had to navigate so many different scenarios. I mean, really you've had to navigate every potential career scenario that Parker and I have had to navigate, right?
Yep.
And the biggest difference between you and me is in a lot of those scenarios, you've won, right? You have, and so every time you've gone back to truck racing, you were in a position where it's like, okay, I got an equipment that I could win in. And then you won at the right times too, right? You won in the Xfinity cars and you won in the trucks. And it's like, that's the one thing that I think is probably I'm just really repeating you at this point, that Corey,
Yeah.
He does that, by the way. Don't. That's his normal thing.
He needs to do is get those wins. I mean, that's, for me, that's like the one thing that I'm like, gosh, if I could just have a trophy on my shelf, that's what I miss, right? And I know that Corey has that too, right? But I think for
Yep.
Corey's career to revitalize, because for me and a supporter of Corey's, it's like you've already proven that you're good at running Cup. You've already proven you're good at it. You've proven that you can run a competitive car or a mid-grade team and carry the team. You've proven you can execute on 500-mile races. You've proven you can manage across a diverse schedule and run all these different tracks and have some level of competitiveness and all this different equipment. Just go win something, right? Prove that you can win.
Yep.
It's winning fixes everything. And I know it personally, just doing part-time trucks over the years and winning allowed me to get to a full-time ride in Xfinity Series, right? And it's just like at the end of the day, and John Hunter, you a great example, and what you did was kind of, I feel like, unconventional at the time, but it proved out to be the right move. And yeah, it is surprising to see him say that. I don't know, the only thing I can think is that compared to you, like I said earlier, he's a bit older and maybe just looking from a different perspective of financially, whatever it is, time commitment, that sort of thing, different career path. At some point, you've got a lot more years, John Hunter, but for many of us, you got to make that decision of when it's maybe time to look elsewhere and focus on something else. And so maybe that's where he's going. His head is going. He did mention starting a carbon fiber business, so that could take a lot of time. But yeah, I think just I don't know. I with you, Landon, and I just feel like go try and win a race. That would be the best thing possible.
Yeah. If he's trying to start a carbon fiber business, maybe he is going the John Hunter route.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs the rest of the playbook. You know about that.
That's awesome. Hey, little news from your race team this past week. You guys had been involved in trying to get a charter, another one. Sounds like that all got settled and figured out. So I'm just curious, what can you tell us about possibly having another car with you guys? Who would you want to be your teammate? And feel free to break any news, that sort of thing. But pretty big news for Legacy Motor Club to be expanding like this.
Yeah. I read all the same things that you guys did. We haven't talked about it internally or anything of that sort. So, to be honest with you, I don't even know the details of it. I don't know if it's that. I don't know. I don't know if it's a car for 26, 27, what that looks like, any of those details, right? From a teammate perspective, Parker, I don't know. I think in my, I guess, thought process on this is bringing someone in that has a decent amount of experience in this car, that has run well at other organizations, that can come and help us continue to build the program. I think that that would be very beneficial for us at LMC. But you never know. You never know what could happen going forward. I think that there's a lot of young prospects out there as well that are really talented, that could do a great job as well. So we'll have to see what Jimmie and Cal and everyone at Legacy Motor Club decides to do. But if you have more details on the situation, I would love to know more about all of it, to be honest with you.
If you had to choose between Max Verstappen, Cletus McFarlane, or AJ Foyt, who would you want your teammates
Oh,
to be? Those are the three top rumors that we've heard.
really? I heard Lewis Hamilton last week.
That was out
Interesting.
by Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. That one was out.
Yeah, he's happy at Ferrari, so we're
Yeah.
so they weren't able to get that one over.
Yeah, I would have to go Max Verstappen on that one for sure.
That'd be a good
For
one.
sure.
So they're just throwing
Yeah,
Cletus
it
in a
would.
fourth car at Daytona.
I mean, that's good. Cletus would be a good time, man. That is for sure.
You definitely would not lack entertainment. during
No,
that.
never.
I don't know how successful it would be, but in entertainment value alone would probably be worth it. So all I heard there is that Landon, you and I are not being considered. So we're out. Damn. I thought we had a shot. It's like we had the guy on here. You could make some influence. Be like, yeah, these are the guys. We're gonna split it. We got to do.
There you
at
go.
the Daytona 500, we'll split the drive. If you get out halfway through, or you want to take to the finish, you tell me. But maybe next time. Maybe
Now,
next time.
Put Landon in first, then you'll finish it by winning, but it won't
Yeah.
be accredited to you, and you'll have the
perfect.
Yeah.
And you can have the trophy, Landon. I just want to split the check. Okay.
Okay.
The
Right.
check and the flag, right?
Yeah, I just want the check and the flag. That's all I care about. Now that one, I think we'd have to split because it'd be pretty big. But that's a big check. There's been some talk lately about the Cup Series TV ratings and that sort of thing that's been going on. A little bit down from where they were last year, of course. This past weekend, only 1.29 million viewers for this Sunday's race, which was a great race, which is unfortunate. It was such good racing. Obviously, I feel like Goodyear has really figured out this tire for the next gen car. I felt like Bristol was amazing to see what they were able to pull off there. I know that was probably a crazy experience, but they're doing all the right things. You loved it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was so cool. So cool. It's, we had this discussion last week of network versus cable, streaming, all that stuff that's going on in the media landscape. I don't think any of us are qualified to fix this or offer opinions and that sort of thing in that sense. But what I'm curious is, for you being a driver in the Cup Series, a guy who I know has, worked with partners and, is looking at that's, the macro and the global situation within the sport. Like, do you pay attention to these things? Do you see them? Do you like have those conversations with sponsors? Hey, here's where things are trending. Here's where they're not. Here's why I think they'll be better. That sort of thing. I'm just curious, like, is that something that's even in your thought process or going through your brain at all? Or is it something you kind of don't pay attention to?
I pay attention to it a little bit, especially the rating side of things, of just up or down. Not really like total viewership, I would say, from year over year, and then kind of race to race as well. And then there are some questions from sponsors, as far as like what that viewership is and where the ratings are going, how the sport is growing, and really this year being the new streaming platforms, as well as conventional cable and everything else going on. I think that there was a lot of question around that as well, going into this year. So I think with that, there's definitely been a lot more discussions this year, I would say, than there have been in years past. So with that being said, I pay attention to it, but not enough to get super in depth with it.
Yeah, I'd say that's about all of us. That from a point of view, right? Like, yeah, I got to pay attention, but like, I don't know what I can do to affect it. What's also been interesting to this effect is, and I've seen you be a part of some of this, and in what NASCAR's done this year of like the social media videos and some of those things, and those are so like I feel like have been the best we've ever seen from the sport. I don't know if you feel the same way or whatever, but in terms of just like the content that they put out has been amazing this year. But it's, maybe it's not connecting to the right audiences in that sense to drive viewership for some of these races, whatever it is. But I find that sort of juxtaposition interesting in that I feel like the sport, in terms of at least social media promotion, has never been in a better place. And for all of you drivers who are on all those other podcasts, not this show, and everything out that you guys are doing out there and willing to go and promote the sport. It's just interesting that it, at least right this microcosm of time in these last few races doesn't have that effect. But you mentioned the streaming, that was a success, I feel like, in a big way, right?
Yep.
And because that was a big question mark, like, okay, well, how many people are going to watch this on streaming? How is this going to work? And I think it was a massive success. So it's interesting to see how this is sort of playing out with all those different factors.
Yeah, I would agree with you for sure on that. I mean, I think social content has been really good this year. I think the promotion from all the drivers being involved has been really good as well. But I still think it's going to continue to take time to grow that, right? Just posting a video, I don't think is going to drive a huge viewership value right away. I think as that continues to grow, as we continue to do more, whether it's podcasts or this show, as you say, as well as being able to go to different markets and hit different events and do some crossover and collabs and things of that sort. I think it's just going to continue to help grow the sport, whether that's actual viewership on TV or whether that's on social platforms as well. I would really be interested, Parker, to see the numbers on social platforms from last year to this year and how much of an influx that is compared to viewership as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I've always used this example where I'd say, like, if I was asked on a survey if I was a golf fan, I would select yes. Now, how many golf events have I watched on TV this year? That would be one, the Masters. But I do pay attention on Instagram to the highlights. I follow a lot of the players on Twitter, that sort of
What
thing,
kind
right?
of golf content do you look at on Instagram, Parker?
I look at the highlights. Oh,
Uh-huh.
oh, well, yeah, I like the
Any influencers you're interested
yeah,
in?
I find myself
particular?
finding. Yeah, I find myself being drawn to some of the influencers in the golf arena. Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
Great.
yeah. Okay, really love them. Nonetheless, I'm just saying, I feel like that, to your point, social numbers versus viewership, all those things, they all play a part now, and it is a little bit of like a too single-minded just to look at TV ratings and say that the sport's doing well or not well, or growing or not growing. Right, to that point, I think you're spot on. You next year will be racing against the young phenom Connor Zilic, and it was announced he's got a crew chief coming over to Trackhouse. Randall Burnett is leaving Kyle Busch, who, for everyone listening, he'll be on later, after John Hunter. And kind of big news to see a guy like that who's had a lot of success in the Xfinity Series, has had some success in the Cup Series. It's been a tough last 2 years with Kyle Busch, but leaving RCR to go to Trackhouse. Have you ever worked with him before, John Hunter?
No, I have not.
No.
Randall has been a great guy to talk to in the garage and things of that sort, but I've never worked one-on-one with him as a crew chief. He's definitely had a lot of success, like you said, in the Xfinity Series, has had some success in the Cup Series, and honestly, I didn't really see it coming. Did you guys? Like, I
Um,
know that I mean, maybe a little bit with how KB is run this year, and not being successful, but at the same time, I didn't really see Randall leaving RCR with the successes that he's had and things of that sort.
I would agree with that. I mean, if you would have said, "Oh, he's going to be relocated within the RCR big tent," then, I mean, even if he ended up at Colleague Racing or something like that, well, I guess with the Dodge stuff, but even if he would have ended up at some other kind of affiliate with RCR, um, it wouldn't have surprised me. But to leave the big house there, that was kind of a surprise. I mean, it just is. I mean, that stuff happens, right? People leave, like good things come to an end,
Yep.
and relationships and stuff. But gosh, when you really think about it, I'd almost need to pull him up in Racing Reference, because I'm pretty sure he's spent the better part of more than a decade within the RCR system one way or another. So
Yeah.
it's usually, that's
Yes.
kind of the shocker for me. It's like, even when it's the time he spent at JTG, that was when they had an RCR alliance, right?
Dang.
yeah,
Yeah.
must have
Had to
been.
dig for that one.
Wow, that was impressive. Where did you bring that up from? My goodness, his
He
brain
asked
is.
he asked his AI bot.
That's right.
That's what he has one running at all times
He's got
in the
an AI
background.
crew chief update
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah, cheap update spot. I had heard about this a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, and I was like, man, that's kind of surprising. I've worked with Randall a little bit, just as when I was doing some sim testing for them when I was at Big Machine, and knew him just from the TV side as well. And great guy, like definitely in the great guy category. And always kind of rooted for him in a lot of respects. He's such a nice guy. And I won't lie though, going into that hauler the last 2 years, and it's been a little tense, a little stressed looking at times. And so I think he, probably, at least however this came to him, saw it as an opportunity maybe to change things up a little bit. But definitely a surprise. And for RCR, possibly a big loss in that sense of we'll see who they end up replacing him with. But it's
who has the guts?
you don't
Who
want to
has
lose
the
people.
guts to fill the shoes of Kyle Busch's crew chief at RCR after, like, what do you think?
Oof.
Somebody, just give me the type. I'm not saying like it doesn't. You have. I'm not putting you on the spot of like a name, Parker or John Hunter, either one of you. Like, draw the picture of the character. Who is the character? Is he a RCR lifer? Is he coming from another team? Is he a first time crew? Like, who is the right fit in this scenario to take Kyle Busch and risk your entire career potentially on? Can we get Kyle Busch one more win?
One more.
I think he comes from a different team.
Okay.
Okay. He's smiling too, so you might know some things. I don't know.
No,
What?
I don't
Either
know
way.
who it is.
It's just an interesting thought.
Well,
I don't know.
I've in my mind, I'm imagining one of my favorite scenes in Moneyball. I don't know if you've seen it, John Hunter, but one of my favorite movies.
It's so good.
Such a good movie. And there's that moment with the older guy that comes over from the Yankees, David Justice in the movie. And he's like, "Hey man, you're paying me $7 million to, be here. I'll do it my way." And he's like, No, you have it all wrong. The Yankees didn't want you so bad. They're paying us $3.5 million for you to be here. I'm trying to get the last good bit of baseball out of you. It's going to have to be a speech like that. And I hate to say this because we've talked about it the last 2 years. I just find it hard to believe Kyle Busch isn't able to do Kyle Busch things. It doesn't compute in my mind. And I've seen him do Kyle Busch things. I think back to Kansas last year. He's leading that race now. He spins out of the lead, which was a non-Kyle Busch thing. But I thought in my mind, I'm like, that's a guy who's so good. He's taking possibly a car that's not that good and putting it in a place it probably shouldn't be, which is contending for a win. And I'm like, that's Kyle Busch. That's what he does. How can they not extract that or give him the cars to be able to extract that more often is so mind-boggling to me. So who's
it's
that
hard.
Yeah,
it is.
Apparently.
My take on that is very. I don't know if I'd ever want Kyle Busch to hear this because I don't know if I mean it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Because he is my hero in terms of top tier, most talented, just raw talent race car driver. So I'm not trying to. I don't want to dismiss his talent as a race car driver, but he spent so many years and condensed so much racing in that specific type of NASCAR stock car, and he mastered it, right? How many races did he run between the Truck, Xfinity, Cup Series through the era of the 2000s on the same Goodyear tire, right? On the same, with that same platform, and just, man, he knew those cars so well. He could hop in those trucks. I mean, you worked with him, right? He could hop in those trucks and he knew exactly what they needed. He knew exactly what that tire needed. And he knew exactly what they needed in Xfinity. He could run through all three of them in one weekend. And he could just, and he made crew chiefs look so good, right? He could take any crew chief and just tell him what to do. And it was like, they could fix that thing right up. And next thing you know, he's not just winning a race, dominating a race. Right.
Yep.
And then when we switched cars, it's like I drove that next gen. It's a different discipline. It's a different muscle memory than the Xfinity car. I mean, I was so excited in 2022 to run both cars with, good funding and good teams. And it was like, it was so different running Cup and Xfinity in the same weekend that year. Right. Every other year before that, even when I was driving for Johnny Davis and I was driving for Hillman, it's like I got to drive the same car and I could learn things on Saturday that helped on Sunday. And Kyle made a career out of that. And then with the next gen, it's a different discipline. It's a totally different muscle memory. And he's been doing it long enough now. I mean, he is Kyle Busch, but I don't know. I look at that and I still wonder, there's this glimmer of wonder that's like, is that it? Is that what we're fighting?
Can I be dumb enough to throw a name out there?
Oh,
go for it.
What's Rodney Childers up to these days?
On
He's
Twitter.
been vocal about wanting to come back.
He's on Twitter. He is. Maybe that's the move. They took over a couple people from Stewart Haas when it folded. So could be the move for them. Could be the guy. Both of them get together and say, "Hey, we're gonna get back to victory lane, one way or another. We're gonna do it." Before we see, well, John Hunter, you can win one before him, but then we got to see him get back.
I appreciate
I'd like
it.
to see. I'd like to see him get back to victory lane.
Well, hold on, Parker. You know what I'd like to see?
What's that?
I'd like to see you check out SpoilerDiecast.com.
No way.
These guys are crushing it right now. SpoilerDiecast.com is one of the fastest growing diecast and racing merch companies out there, and for good reason. They ship same or next day, so your order is not sitting in limbo forever. They have a huge inventory, huge selection. They've got over 1,900 products in stock. That's been growing. They're mostly NASCAR, kind of like us, but they got a little bit of everything: dirt, sprint cars, IndyCar. They've got F1. I'm pretty sure they have Hunter Nemechek diecast on there, and they maybe even apparel as well, because they have all kinds of merchandise and apparel and t-shirts and stuff. So we have free shipping right now on orders over $100. Get a free NASCAR t-shirt of any random driver with that as well. Just comment your size in the order notes, use promo code MONEYLAP, and get that free shipping on orders over $120 or $100. SpoilerDiecast.com. Whether you're hunting down a rare piece or just looking to rep your favorite driver, check them out.
They do have John Hunter stuff. You can get his diecast. What's this diecast? This is the Martinsville
Is it a
one.
Roadman?
Look
You
at
lit
this.
the track on
man,
fire.
that was probably one of the best burnouts I've ever done.
That's awesome. I remember that one vividly. That was pretty impressive. Very cool shots.
It was.
For all those listening, if you want your John Hunter Nemechek diecast, go to spoilerdiecast.com. Good supporters of the show. And use code MONEYLAP for all the reasons Landon said. So let's talk some open wheel, guys, before we get out of here. And John Hunter, you've been awesome to join us for this whole show. This has been fun. We usually talk a little Formula One at this point. This past weekend was the Baku street course, one of the coolest street courses in the world. It was super low grip. It was windy. There was cars crashing through qualifying. Qualifying was almost 2 hours long, which was insane. It was basically longer than any other race this year in Formula One, which was wild. Tons of red flags, including Oscar Piastri, who crashed, which led to sort of a odd top three and sort of jumbled up field, which caused a bit of fun racing. Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, wrecked on lap one. He had a dreadful weekend, probably one of the worst we've seen out of him. And of course, Max Verstappen went on to win. He is still very much mathematically in the championship now because of this. It was also a grand slam for him, which is pretty impressive, to basically have the win, fastest lap, pole, all those things combined. He's insane.
I did predict that, but okay.
You did say that. You did predict. You picked him to win. We'll get those picks for everyone on the show today, later on. But one of the cool feel-good stories was Carlos Sainz got a podium for Williams, which was impressive. A little awkward because Carlos Sainz left Ferrari to go to Williams, kind of got booted for Lewis Hamilton to go there. Lewis, who I picked to win, did not really show up once again, and therefore Carlos Sainz has now gotten a podium at Williams before Lewis Hamilton has gotten one at Ferrari. Kind of feels a little Kyle Busch-esque what Lewis Hamilton's got going on here. But I hope he can turn it around. But the cool part for all this, though, is we've got a real championship battle, and Max Verstappen could do the most insane thing, which is come all the way back to win this championship. You mentioned you want him as a teammate. I think there's very few times lately where I watch what this guy does. I think the Monza, when he had the low downforce package, this race where it was super treacherous and he just masterclassed everyone. This guy, I mean, he's just an insane talent at driving race cars right now.
I would not want him to be my teammate.
John Hunter's like, bring it on.
Yeah, exactly. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Do you watch Formula One much?
Yeah, I watch it a little bit. I check in here and there, more or less check on results. But my question to you guys is, does Leclerc have an obsession with that wall, or like what is the deal in Baku?
That's a good question. He's done it 3 years, 3 times now, 2 in a row at that wall. We once did the 24 Hours of Nürburgring together. Landon, myself, a couple of guys from the NASCAR world. And it was one of the most fun things we've ever done. And I should preface, by the way, on iRacing. And there was a corner in the middle of the night, John Hunter, that I wrecked in. And through the next 12 hours of the race, every time I went through that corner, I just went, Nemesis. I feel like he's basically now termed his own Nemesis corner here at Baku.
Yeah.
Do you have a Nemesis
I would have
corner?
to agree with that. No, I don't actually. Thank goodness.
Yeah. They're when you got one, it's a tough fight because it's always there and it's never moving. But when you have a real nemesis corner, let me tell you from experience, it feels like it's alive, like it's coming at you.
Oof.
Oh man.
Not a fun feeling.
No. We'll see. I think it's turning out to be a pretty interesting battle at the front if McLaren somehow throws us all away and hands it to Max Verstappen. Speaking of handouts, Christian Horner, who kind of unceremoniously left Red Bull, was handed a cool $100 million apparently as a separation fee. I would think I would have liked to have had someone give me $100 million to leave something ever. That'd
Yeah,
be pretty nice.
it'd be
Landon,
really nice.
are you handing out any money like that? You got
No.
anything like that?
No, I'm not, but I can't wait for you to get to the next bullet point on the cost cap.
I was going to get there. It was going to lead. They're handing out $100 million checks. Their team principals they're kicking out. And in response to this, they have announced that the cost cap for Formula One will be raised from $135 million per year to $215 million, mostly just to pay Christian Horner. But
I don't get this. I
what's
don't get it. Like we please let us spend more money. Please. Can we spend more money, please? Like, I get it costs a lot of money, but
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of a cost cap? I don't know. That's kind of narrow-minded of me to say. Like,
well, I've always thought a cost cap in NASCAR would work really well, and I think there's been a lot of talk about that over the years, trying to make that happen in the Cup Series. It's obviously worked really well for Formula One, but they also had this sort of, effect from Drive to Survive, where they've had a ton of influx of money, and in doing so, one of the things the cost cap has revealed is, one, it does have some provisions for moving up with inflation, of course. The second is they do have these new power unit rules that are coming into effect that are pretty expensive. But the last one, and I think is probably the most interesting point, is that they've run into areas where they can't pay their people as much as they probably could in other competing industries. And therefore, they've had to raise it. A little bit of an odd thing to say when you're handing a guy like $100 million to leave or whatever, but it is what I gather is the situation. And so it's kind of on the unintended effects of a cost cap is if it doesn't grow accordingly to, engineers and that sort of thing and what they can do elsewhere, you'll lose them and you can't compete in the marketplace for those talents. So,
I mean, if the money's not coming in, then you can't anyways.
but they have the money.
Right now they do.
Yeah, I know. Could be a top signal.
But
You
they
never
keep
know.
raising the cost. Yeah, it's like they raise the cost cap, and then I guess, the thing to track is over time, how many teams on the grid end up under the cost cap, like can't even spend $215 million.
Yeah. Well, right
Right?
now I think they all hit it easy.
Sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure they do, right? We're still in the wake of, Drive to Survive, Popular, and all that stuff. But if over the next 5 years you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 organizations that can't even spend the cost cap, it'd just be something interesting to pay attention to.
It's a lot of money to run two cars.
You guys should see what the NFL does for their cost cap. It's pretty interesting. They do void year contracts and stuff like that. Maybe they need to hire like a GM from NFL to run one of their teams.
What? Why are you bringing NFL in this? This is motorsports. Man.
I'm just
What are you
saying
doing?
we gotta think outside the box.
There's other places for that. No. Get out of here.
You and your track limits. Come on, man. Let me get out of my lane here.
I don't know. Pretty crazy. The numbers are mind-boggling. I always thought the Cup Series was big money, John Hunter, but the money in that deal is
it's
insane.
not even close.
No. Friend of the show in IndyCar, Jack Harvey, announced he's returning to the 2026 Indianapolis 500. Good to see that. And Dave Malukas is going to fill the seat of Will Power at Team Penske. So some driver changes in the IndyCar series, which is going through a big silly season. Still a lot of open rides, a lot of different, a lot of rumors about who will be where in the IndyCar series, which is pretty interesting.
Breaking news.
What's
Parker
that?
Kligerman will be in an IndyCar next year.
Oh, I was going for the Legacy Motor Club ride. No, he just took what? I don't know. My mom would be a little upset. She's kind of banned open wheel oval cars, so it's not. I don't think it's in my future. but I would have loved to have run the Indy 500. But speaking of IndyCar drivers and also works in F1, this was a cool thing to see. Texted with him a little bit about this. James Hinchcliffe is going to get to test a Haas F1 car, which is pretty
That's cool.
sweet. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. Would you want to drive an F1 car if you could?
For sure.
Where?
Roval.
No. F1 car at Baku.
Baku. No. You'll find the nemesis corner.
Yeah.
I don't want to take the fun out of that question, but I would do like Coda. I want to do it at I get one shot, so once in a lifetime. I want to do it at a track that I know. Like, I don't want to learn the track and a car.
I can
of course, I'd
understand
love to
that.
drive it at Monaco, or I mean, and I guess with iRacing, but you could learn the tracks. But it's like I want to go to a track that I've been to, I trust, I know, I love it, and just go there and just enjoy the car.
Yeah.
Okay, so Watkins Glen or Coda?
Oh, Coda. Watkins
Coda,
Glen
for
would be like an oval, basically. But the way they removed the curbs and the bus
You
stop,
could probably
and
run
everything,
wide open around the place.
That would be insane.
it would be nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Could you imagine how fast Watkins Glen in an F1 car would be?
On the
It would be
NASCAR,
so fast.
yeah, the Cup circuit would be insane because I've always felt that place is insanely fast in a stock car. Like,
It is. It's like an oval.
Yeah.
It is.
it's crazy fast. It feels, there's times you get ripping around there and you're like, we're just not slowing down. Like, except for turn one, other than that, it's just like you're ripping. So, and when they remove that curb on the entrance to the bus stop, it's just now so fast through there. It's wild.
Yeah. I'd be happy with Coda. I mean, it'd be a dream to go to any one of those tracks, but
I like Coda
Yeah.
because here's the swap Lewis Hamilton and Tony Stewart did. I like the idea of Coda for one reason that you didn't even bring up, Landon, and it is that it has all the runoff, so you could make mistakes and get away with it. Baku wouldn't be the place I'd pick. I would say Spa or Monza would be really cool as well. So I've gotten to drive around Spa, but an F1 car would probably be an insane experience.
Spa would be really, really neat.
Yep. Let's do our picks this upcoming weekend. We got Cup and Xfinity. Landon, I'll let you kick it off. Who you got winning the Cup race? Who you got winning the Xfinity race?
John Hunter Nemechek in the Cup race. Definitely gonna pick him. Xfinity, I keep picking Justin Allgaier, and then Connor Zilisch wins. So I'm gonna go with Allgaier because my God, he can get it eventually. Eventually, I'll be right, and then I'll just cheer as if I was the genius.
I like it. I like it. For Cup, I'm gonna go. I'm kidding. John Hunter Nemechek. And for Xfinity, I'm going to take. Who's going to win this weekend? Sheldon Creed.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good pick.
it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
It's finally gonna happen. Finally. Who you got, John Hunter?
I'm going to take myself for the Cup race.
Let's go.
And then I'm going to take Brandon Jones for the Xfinity race.
That's
I was almost
sneaky
gonna say
smart
that.
pick.
That's so funny. I was almost gonna say that. I remember last year that guy ripped such a crazy qualifying lap to win the pole up next to the wall before any of us.
Yep.
And was so committed, and I was like, he's good here. And of course he's won there. So
He is.
Josh,
Yeah.
who you
I think he has 2 wins there.
Yes. It's gotta be 2. I haven't looked at my notes yet, but it's only Wednesday, guys. Don't get on me. But it's definitely 2 or 3. I think 2, you're right.
I gotta be the one person. Sorry,
Don't you dare.
Eric Jones.
That would be hilarious. I'm gonna throw a name out there that needs to get a win really badly. Bubba Wallace is gonna win this weekend at Kansas. I think that's a good one right there.
2311 has it figured out there.
Yeah, they do. And then Connor Zilisch, because Landon, when you have a bad day, I want to have a good day. So I'm gonna go with Connor Zilisch.
10-4. All right, we're gonna rip through some. This is where we do some quick reviews John Hunter,
Sweet.
and feel free to react to them, and then we're out of here. This is from Hoosier47 on Apple Podcasts, where we're approaching 300 reviews, so we want to get there. If you like this show, if you like John Hunter, give us 5 stars, and you get on this show. This is 5 stars. It says, "This is a podcast. I heard you needed a new Apple review. This is a podcast. Can confirm." That's not a good one. I'm going to put it out there. That's lame. That was a lame one. We've got a lot of comments from the Spotify world. I don't even know.
He's going to change his review to be a 1. Hoosier47, we appreciate your review.
But it is a show.
Yeah, he even got it wrong. So wrong. Some people were chirping at me about my thoughts on tire limits. I was not happy about. We got in a bit of a debate about tire limits, basically, and so much so. Grease Vision here on YouTube said Parker's take on tire limits is lame. I basically said they don't belong in the Cup Series. It's a lame thing to me.
Parker's not a big fan of any kind of limits.
I'm not. I like.
He doesn't like strategy.
Free for all.
I don't like track limits.
Yes, let's go.
What do you think about tire limits, though? Like what having only 10 sets or whatever. Do you think the Cup Series should have just be able to go back and get as many sets as you want, or?
No, I don't.
You like tire limits?
I don't. Yeah, I think if there was unlimited tire sets, and the reason I say this is every time a caution came out, everyone would come down pit road. So, and put tires on, and then there really wouldn't be a strategic way to pass and things of that sort. So I like it. I like the way that you have to strategize through the race. I mean, maybe even some places we should have less sets of tires to make it more interesting that way.
Yeah. Well, the good news is you're right. You're right. So.
Yeah, you are right.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
I will debate this another time when I have more.
That's fine.
More support. You say there's no strategy, but I can think to Darlington where you guys in stage 1 did a one-stop strategy when everyone else did 2 and vaulted from like 28th to top 10 when there was many tires available for you to do a 2-stop. So, what do you say to that? If there was endless tires, you'd been fine. You chose not to use as many as you could in that stage.
That is true, but there wasn't a caution that came out either.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. We'll put it to bed. Last thing, we got an email. Braden here says, "Hey, y'all, to add another point in favor of existing manufacturers converging on a single platform for all their racing engines, GM's F1 engine facility is being built in Concord adjacent to the GM Tech Center and Hendrick Engine Shop on land Mr. H owns." Yeah, we knew that, Braden. Thank you. We kind of mentioned that last week, but we appreciate you writing in. So he's correct. That's why
he did send that before last week. I just missed it, so I'm sorry. Braden. Your point was well made.
It was, yeah. We appreciate the point. You are correct. That is the case. And I think it's why a lot of it will converge. John Hunter, you the man. Thanks for coming on here, bud. We appreciate
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Unfortunately, we kind of mentioned it, but we thought Kyle Busch would be after you. We just found out we don't have a high enough subscription to have had 2 guests on this. And so he's actually been unable to log in this whole time. So unfortunately, he won't be joining us. That's it. But we were glad to have you, my man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
We'll see you all next week. Peace.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to The Money Lap. If you like this show, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share it with friends. We want to spread the word of great motorsports shows, of which we're somewhere up and around there. I'm not exactly sure where, but nonetheless, you can also reach out to us anytime on across social media or at our website, themoneylap.com, or at our email, friends@themoneylap.com. And of course, you can always leave us a review. 5 stars gets you on this very show. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Goodbye.